Travis Wayne Goodsell. I've told you guys about how the church ordered my indefinite incarceration. It was back in 2008, and I had filed a petition for redress of grievances with the state of Utah, and included the church over their unwillingness to assist an American citizen and a Utah citizen get his family back. Kids, specifically. Not the wife. She's the one who took the kids away. I was unaware that the laws for the federal and state are that a spouse has no problems if they want to take the kids away from the other spouse, which has wrong written all over it, but thus is the law. But nobody bothered to tell me. And yet, the lawsuit wasn't against the ex, it was against the church for helping her. So I did have substance to it, in retrospect. As well as I could have also sued my parents, and her parents even. But didn't know I'm not rich enough to afford a lawyer. And so, having gone through the system, contacting the governor's office, which was Huntsman at the time, being rejected and saying Canadian law has supremacy in this matter. Excuse me? I'm an American citizen. What do you mean Canadian law has supremacy? And then going through the federal courts with both Kimball and Benson, both refusing to allow me to petition for redress of grievances. And in May of 2007, the Attorney General for Utah retaliated for my having filed lawsuits, which included the church, but Benson and Kimball shut me down. And he refused to hear that my children were kidnapped, which is strange, but he's the enemy side, he's the opposing side, he's the one prosecuting me. And it was strange that the two of us would be alone together in a room before appearing before a judge. And he refused to listen to me, and so I'm not gonna comply with his wishes. What the hell? And so he then told the judge, who was Michelle Bloomquist, she was the commissioner. I knew her from the older singles ward. And he's telling her that I'm unwilling to cooperate. Yeah, because you're the opposing side who wants to destroy my life. Of course I'm going to be uncooperative. That's the one thing the news does not tell you about, is that everyone has the right to remain silent, because anything you say or do will be held against you in a court of law. And yet, time after time after time, news report after news report after news report, you will hear the news people say they are either cooperating with authorities or they're not cooperating with authorities. Nobody is supposed to cooperate. The police have a sole responsibility to investigate and present the forensic evidence to prosecution for the court. That's it, that's all. Instead, it's turned into, we're locking you up and you will confess in order to be released from lockup. How is that following the Constitution, President Oaks? And so, yeah, the whole justice system is screwed up. And so, I called them on it in 2008. And the church and the state of Utah didn't take too kindly to it. And I was arrested as a terrorist threat, as the petition for a redress of grievances was now called a weapon of mass destruction. Yeah, okay. And as a result of that accusation, 3 counts, second-degree felonies, they were able to convince the judge that we need to seal this case so that the public doesn't find out about it. Isn't that great? And so, yeah, the church was able to indefinitely incarcerate me as a big, bad, mean old terrorist, as I was tortured for 6 years of my life. And so I tried suing the church. And the federal judges refused to recuse themselves and denied my petitions for a redress of grievances. The church has now gotten away with their crimes against me. Even though I never got the file, so technically I still could file, even though they claim, nope, sorry, it was dismissed with prejudice. I didn't get the file. Nope, it was dismissed with prejudice. And so, after the second one, well, during the first two, the church, the first one, the church got caught covering up the crime I presented in that case. They had paid the person who had indefinitely incarcerated me. Paid them. They were still making payments. I caught them. I reported it to the judge. And then I found and caught the church trying to cover it up. And after that, the church then tried to have me assassinated. That's where the property manager comes in, and the landlord, and then after the second one, I lost again. They won't hear my case, and so the church tries another tactic, because I sort of put a wrench in the landlord and property manager's plans for me. And so they tried to go through Amazon. And I did that video. I even had a separate playlist for it. With Conference, I just screwed all my playlists. I just said, screw it all. I put every video in every playlist. Didn't care to try to figure out which video this was appropriate for. I didn't care anymore, and I want to revise it, but YouTube doesn't allow for revisions, or at least I haven't figured out how to do that kind of thing yet. But anyway. And so Amazon had, well, again, I have to back up. Because the church indefinitely incarcerated me, that, according to Utah law, now places me in a protected category under the law. I wasn't supposed to get out. And so the church didn't think anything of it. And yet, I got out 6 years later. And now, all of a sudden, those legal protections now applied to me. And so along came Amazon, and they took advantage of my protected status in Utah. And so after the loss of the second lawsuit, here comes Amazon attacking me for what they themselves victimized me with. And so I countersued and asked for $33 billion. They returned their complaint saying, you have no claim upon which relief can be granted, which was the church's filing. But nonetheless, after they're sending me their intention to carry on with the lawsuit against me, they then dropped it. And I'm like, what? You can do that? Wait a minute. We already got going in this. I replied, and they replied, and what's going on? But apparently, that's the law. If they just say, we're not doing it anymore, we're out, they can get away with it, and my countersuit is dropped also. So, it was bizarre, but, all this time goes by, and then on the 27th of March, right before conference, after I had done the video talking about a potential lawsuit against the church, a third lawsuit, guess what happened? Discover card. And again, I'm in the protected status. I don't worry about any of these guys. They were dumb. They took advantage of me. They victimized me with their criminal actions. I have no worries. I'm protected, especially under the protected category that the church put me in. And yet, here they were, saying, oh, we're suing you. Oh, yeah? But this time, the different lawyers put in there that if they don't go through with an actual filing in 10 days, which was Wednesday, the 7th, I think, the 7th, 8, 9, 10. No, it was the 6th, Tuesday. Then I don't need to respond. And so, I waited it out, and it's Saturday. Yesterday, I got all these advertisers from lawyers. Oh, you're being sued. Hey, pay us, and we'll help you with your bankruptcy. No, I don't need you guys if they don't file. And I thought, well, I guess they did file, and I should expect to see it in the mail today. No, not today either. And so I said, okay, am I going to have to call on Monday to find out if they filed? And so I Google searched docket, Justia or something like that. Lists all of the filings in the state of Utah. I searched, nothing. All the way back to the 27th, nothing. All the way back to the 9th. Because apparently they initially filed on the 9th, and the process server got me on the 27th. And so nothing. So apparently, according to what they're claiming, no lawsuit, I don't have to respond to anything. They dropped it too. After conference came and went. Huh. So now I'm free and open to now file a lawsuit against the church. This third one, I was telling you guys in the previous videos I think it was new LDS lawsuit, or I can't remember what playlist I put it under. But it was going to be about how the church had deceived Mormons into believing that Zion would be created by a deadline, Latter-day Saints, and that Zion would be the protection, refuge, and peace for us as we paid tithing for fire insurance, and so that we could survive as members of the only true church on the face of the earth, while the rest of the world suffers and dies. For not joining us. And yet the church hasn't done it. They failed on their contractual obligation because we're paying them. It's not a donation. James Huntsman. God, you ruined your case by calling it a donation. You had him on RICO. And so yes, this would be filed under RICO. But the second lawsuit confirmed, as I technically won by proving my point, that the whole federal justice system here in Utah are compromised to the church. And according to the laws of the federal government, they all were required by law to recuse themselves from my lawsuit, that second one. And so this one would be under RICO again, and would put a disclaimer as a RICO complaint. It must be presented to the new Attorney General for disposition. And as I did the video last night, we've got a new sheriff in town in the FBI. Who apparently needed to replace the previous FBI special agent in charge because he wasn't arresting the Mormons involved in the January 6th insurrection. We were supposed to be defending America on January 6th. Instead, Mormons were participating in the overthrow of America. Oops! And so, yeah, that would be the third lawsuit. And it's unique and distinct from the others, so no federal judge can say, oh, those others were dismissed with prejudice and I sense that there's stuff being carried over here. No, this is different. This is different. So, yeah, I don't know when I'll get to it. I don't know if there's another agency that's going to sue me under orders of the church to stop me after putting this video up for you. But, yeah, the church themselves, in thinking they were destroying me, ended up giving me a shield of armor, a coat of arms, to protect me against them. Hilarious. So, that's the latest update. So, I don't know how to do the YouTube thing anymore. As I've shown you, they will not let me break out. I broke out by accident, and they still clamped down on it to shut it down as much as they could. But yeah, they are working for the church, committing cyber crimes. This is cyber terrorism that YouTube is involved in here. And yeah, they just don't care. They don't think that they can ever be punished for what they're doing to me. So, yeah, if there are any of you who are watching, and I noticed the amount of time spent on watching my videos is dropping. So definitely nobody's listening now. But yeah, that's the latest. But the fact that there's a new FBI special agent in charge tells me a whole lot, that they're actually checking into stuff, that my tips that I've been submitting have weight and merit, that they're checking out. But they needed to come to me first. I could help them with their investigation, giving them further tips of what to look for. Think they know better. They don't. The church has learned how to hide from the FBI.